And we're recording on the WebEx, but I just have to hit my backup recorder.
Brent's on his way.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you heard anything. All right, let me get back.
We are recording, and whenever you're ready to commence, we can get started.
This is the call to order for the German Village Commission hearing. Today is September 7th, 2022. It is 4:02 p.m. We're here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next business meeting will be Wednesday, September 21st, 2022 at 12 p.m. Here, same room, same place. And the next hearing will be Wednesday, October 5th, 2022 at 4 p.m. Same room, same place. Go ahead and swear in staff. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. Morgan Graff.
And the introduction of commissioners present, starting on the left. Jeff Farrell,
Ned Thiel.
Anthony Hartke, chair.
Joyce Durst.
All right, we'll move ahead to the staff approvals, which begin on page 6 of your agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from 628 Mohawk Street and 634 Mohawk Street.
Any other recusals?
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. I'll move ahead to the approval of minutes from last meeting, August 3rd, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes.
Second. Questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. We'll move ahead to applications. Item number 1, GV-22-09-014, 583 South 5th Street. Is there an applicant here for 583 South 5th Street?
Let's see, Mr. Earl.
Make a note to come back to that one. We'll jump ahead to item number 2, 777 South 5th Street. Come on up. And if you please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Sarah Dominguez.
Thank you much. Have a seat. Morgan, read it.
Of course. Yes, proposed work description, install 3 steps behind gate on north property line, since there is a 1-foot drop from the backyard to the brick sidewalk. Steps to be constructed out of brick. Depth of stairs to be 36 inches from sidewalk. Overall height to be 12 inches and width to be 48 inches. To fit within the gate. Application includes the removal of the boxwood bushes inside brick wall and to be replaced with creeping phlox. Applicant is also proposing to paint the fence with an exterior stain to be SW Sherwin-Williams 3540 Mountain Ash. Staff analysis, original application did not include a drawing of how the proposed steps will be installed on the property. Staff had requested applicant to send a drawing of the proposed steps to include how they will appear behind the gate and to include the measurements of said steps, which are part of the materials presented. Staff also asked applicant if they would like to add fence color to this review, since the COA for fence replacement has expired and the fence remains unpainted. At the past September business meeting, commissioners asked applicant to submit an additional site plan sketch where the steps will be located with measurements included. Staff recommendation for this application is the approval with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions. Basis of recommendations off of 311613, standards for site improvements, letter A.
Anything else to add?
No.
All right, questions, comments from the commission?
These steps are literally like 8 inches long, one brick. Like
Each brick is 12 inches.
is 12.
Yeah, so each step would be 12 inches deep, so a total of 36 inches.
And how tall is each brick?
Each one is about 3.5 inches. So with the mortar, it'll be 4 inches and then a total of 12.
Hearing no other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, on item 02GV 22-09015, 77 South Fifth Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 3 has been removed from the agenda. Is an applicant here for item number 1, 583 South Fifth Street? 583 South Fifth Street. All right, go to item number 4, GV-22-09-016, 358 East Beck Street.
I'm sorry, you said
358 East Beck Street.
That will be coming up later, yeah. There's another extra.
All right, if nobody here for 358 East Beck, we'll go ahead and come back to that one. Let's try for item number 5. Is there someone here from 911 South 3rd Street? 911 South 3rd? Yeah. All right, then we're on number 6, which is 285 East Beck. GV-22-09-018, 285 East Beck. Come on up.
I arrived late. Should I have a seat here?
Yeah, go ahead and have a seat there.
Yeah.
Once you're all settled, if you please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yeah, please state your name for the record.
Sarah Arnold Behrens.
Proposed work description, removal of existing ash tree due to infection from emerald ash borer. Work is to be done by Joseph Tree Service. We remove all debris and grind down the stump with an arborist letter, that has been submitted with this application. Staff analysis, after the application was initially sent for the tree removal, staff had requested additional photographs of the current conditions of the tree, which applicant has submitted. At the past September business meeting, the commission requested the applicant provide what type of tree they were planning to use as the replacement tree. Applicant has submitted the additional photos to show the current conditions of the tree as explaining current conditions and the proposed replacement. The applicant stated the top branches of the tree are dead wood and the trunk at the base is starting to crack. The trunk and base roots have grown around the iron fence to the west with some ivy growing over the tree, giving the false appearance of healthy green tree leaves. Roots have also caused issues caused issues to the back of the cottage and bricks. Applicant would like to plant a smaller shade tree and is considering a crimson spire oak, a moonglow sweet magnolia, Brand's fountain hornbeam, flowering dogwood, common hop tree, or the pawpaw from the city's list. They intend to work with the arborist to discuss depth and spread of roots for this tight space. Staff recommends approval, any all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate. Basis of recommendation is off of 311613, standards for site improvements, letter A.
Anything else to add?
No, that sums it up.
All right, questions, comments from the commission? You have one question. So the iron fence that the trees start to grow through around, is the intent to replace that, leave as is, repair?
No, it's always been separate from the remaining fence, so there's iron fencing all along that side of the property. So we've already talked with Fortin Ironworks they're willing to look. They're always game to look, but I don't think they're gonna be able to repair it. I think we'll just have to have another segment and then attached.
Gotcha. Just for the record, if you are gonna put a new section and make sure that goes through this HPO as a separate application.
That's correct.
That should be a condition.
Make that one.
Item 6, GV 220918, 285 East Beck Street. I move to approve as submitted with the condition that the fence is either repaired or it is replaced in kind with a new section.
Second. And I would just clarify that information to go to staff, just for the record.
For staff approval. Yep.
Any questions on the application, or any questions on the motion? And then as far as the tree selection, that goes to staff as well.
Works for us. Yeah.
If no other questions, take the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate
I
it.
didn't vote for this, I didn't. Let the record show that Commissioner Foley is now here.
Okay. But you're finished with me, I guess.
All right, we'll jump back real quick. Applicant here for 583 South Fifth Street. How about for 358 East Beck Street? Okay, keep going forward. Item number 7, GV-22-09-019, 877 South Third Street. 877 South Third Street. Do we have one here for 914 City Park? Item 8, GV-22-09-020-914 City Park. Once you're settled, if you please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Thank you. And please state your name for the record.
Ashley Batco.
Thank you.
Proposed work description, install new small studio shed in the northeast corner of rear yard. Relocate existing bottle brush buckeye, which was placed in 2015. New shed to be 7 feet by 6.5 feet, with new shed materials to be certainty 310 nickel gray approved shingle. Apologize about that. These are materials have been updated, so let me just locate that in the agenda presently. They're updated. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Commissioner. Certainty 310 nickel gray approved shingle. Cedar horizontal scallop shiplap siding, main color and trim to match the existing sunroom. Color match for the paint would be sunroom colors shown on the next slide. Additionally, if a complementary color instead of matching colors desired, that could be done. Door to be 50-inch gelled wood sightline, aluminum clad wood patio door, 2 panels swinging without grills. Windows to be gelled wood sightline, aluminum clad wood, double hung pocket windows without grills. Staff analysis, applicant had initially reached out to HBO staff to discuss the possibility of constructing a new shed in the rear yard of their property. Originally, the applicant was proposing to construct the shed in the southeast corner where the removal of a mature tree was being proposed. Staff informed the applicant that we'd recommend relocating the shed in another part of the yard in order to maintain the mature tree in lieu of removing, as well as to review the proposed design under conceptual review. After discussion with staff, the applicant has done so by relocating the shed to the northeast corner as seen per submitted materials. At the past September business meeting, the commission requested that the applicant clarify the measurements for the proposed shed, height, width, and length. Applicant responded stating clarifying measurements to be 7 feet 6 inches wide along the east elevation, 10 feet along the south elevation, and 13 feet 6 inches long on the north elevation, and 2 feet 6 inches on the west elevation with a 6-foot diagonal. The height on the west elevation being 9 feet 6 inches, with the east rear elevation to be 8 feet. The commission also asked if the shed will be butting up against the existing fence, and if the shed will have gutters and downspouts. Applicant stated that there will be a 12-inch spacing between the east fence and 6-inch space between the north fence. Proposed design is for the rain to drain into their yard, but if gutters are required, the applicant will add approved gutters and downspouts to the plan. Staff recommendation. Staff recommends the commission offers feedback on the design and recommends to continue the application for next month's review. Basis of staff recommendation is somewhat consistent with CC 311612, standards for new construction, letter A, letter G, and letter H.
Anything else to add?
No.
Questions, comments from the commission?
I guess I'm just curious why the corner cut off.
Like the diagonal, like where
Yeah.
the doors are.
Yeah.
So we were proposing to make it like our sunroom. If you look at the picture on slide 6, that's kind of that hexagon shape. We were trying to kind of match the angle there. And then it also gives it a little bit more room to come out. Versus like tucking it back. So where the limestone and the brick wall are currently, if we cut the brick wall, that's there and then kind of angle the limestone sideways, we can get a little bit more square footage out of it by coming onto the existing patio a bit. But mostly it was aesthetics.
Believe regarding the roof drainage, the building code has minimums for roofs that don't require gutters. I think you're gonna exceed that, but I may be wrong. The other thing is zoning requires you can't dump additional water onto a neighbor's property.
My concern for you as the homeowner is letting the water shed off between the shed and the fence. Even if it does drop straight down, it's gonna pretty quickly start causing a problem on the foundation of the back of the shed, potentially the fence itself. So
We'll
I'd
cover it.
recommend some way to collect the water and put it somewhere else.
Sure, no problem.
Even one of those little downspout extenders or something. You drive it the right way.
Yeah.
The other concern I would have, again, concern as a homeowner would be using the shingles on the roof. The slope is a pretty slight slope. I know it's not a house roof, but they probably wouldn't warranty anything with that, so then you kind of damage later on. You probably can't go back to the shingle manufacturer for having too low slope of the roof, so that's the only other comment I have, but I don't have a major problem with what's proposed personally.
Nobody else has anything, I'll make a motion. Move to approve item 8, GB-22-09-020914 City Park Avenue. That's it.
Second?
Second.
Questions on the motion?
I guess the clarification that you'll check city code to see if a gutter is required for the siding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have one clarification. The application says color to match. You can supply that color information to staff.
Okay, can I just do that as a staff approval for when I get to that
Get
point?
that information to staff, so
Okay.
down the road, there's a question, we know it was fully proposed.
Okay, great.
If there are no other questions on the motion, all those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, moving ahead, number 9, GB-22-09-021, 684 South 3rd Street. Once you're all settled, if you all raise your right hands.
I think we have 3 folks coming up here, so. Okay, there.
The record show that Commissioner Foley has accused himself in the application. One, two,
3.
go.
Moving quick.
Do you all, sorry, lost my train of thought. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And please state your name for the record.
Kevin Lee.
Thank you. William Cody. Thank you.
Tim Skinner.
Thank you. Morgan.
Proposed work description, removal of existing walks, trees, and plant materials in the front of 3rd Street yard to accommodate building construction and long-term flexible school use, hardscape improvements, including brick sidewalks, entering the streetscape, internal concrete walks, curb fencing, and yard play amenities, Landscape improvements, including large shade trees, ornamental trees, shrub, ground cover, and perennials, turf lawn installation as well. Staff analysis application was reviewed and approved for new construction in January 2022. Number GV 2112-032 at 672 South 3rd Street. At the past September business meeting, Commission asked the applicant to verify that the proposed fence will match the fence in front of the church on 3rd Street. Applicant was present at the business meeting and confirmed the fence will match the existing fence along the streetscape. Commission also requested a demolition plan of the existing landscaping to compare to the proposed site plan. Demolition plan should include which existing trees they are proposing to remove. Staff recommends approval of any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions to retain as many mature trees as possible and to maintain a grass lawn in lieu of installing turf. Basis for staff recommendation is 3116. Standards for site improvements, letter A.
Thank you. Anything else to add?
Yes. Chairman Harkey, members of the commission. Today we are back in front of you to present the landscape plan for the St. Mary's School campus. We've continued our work to advance this design and are excited to put forward this significant improvement over the facility of today. We believe it is one which the parishioners of St. Mary, staff and students of the St. Mary's School, and the German Village community will embrace and celebrate in the years to come. From a starting point of the concepts presented previously, we charged our designers to embrace the following. First, create active and passive play spaces without use of traditional playground equipment. Create appropriate and safe access paths for students, staff, and visitors to our campus. Maintain a distinct and appropriate visual context of both the rectory and the 1950s school building. Our design team took up the challenge to create a place where kids play and learn in a quality space, where the community has more and improved ways to gather within the context of the German Village Historic District. As is typical, the design you will see today is an evolution of earlier presentations. Our designers will now walk you through the changes and the details of our plan.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm gonna walk you through a few of the key highlights of the plan. If it's possible on the presentation, if we go back to the first page of the first diagram and then be there for a moment and then go to the overall section. So that's perfect. Yeah, this won't be started in a little bit long. So, as we set out to advance the design, I want to stress that careful consideration is given to the scale, rhythm, and materials of the context. So what you see in this package in terms of some of the elements that are here was in drawing inspiration from the adjacent streetscape and yards that are present underneath. To create amenities, to create an environment for the school that does the following, that provides for that flexible play, creates opportunities for social interaction, and embraces the connection of the community. So all those elements are really important. I'll also add that the notion of safety and security for school grounds is really, really critical in cases. And that's very, very paramount in thinking about these two buildings as a complete campus. So those are some of the charges that we had as we set out to advance the design. If we move on to the overall site plan, please. I'm just going to focus on a few highlights here: the site perimeter, the entry sequence, and what we're calling the grove, which is that yellow section here. Actually, the color plan that's the next page is perfect.
I'm not the floor at the moment. That is Stephanie back there.
Perfect. So again, overall site context. You see where this is within the neighborhood. What has been done around the east side of the site, which is planned, the plan north here, has not really changed from the concept plan that you saw. The idea of drop off and parking changes, nothing has changed there. We have included a pre-K playground in the southeast corner of the site. I think that's really critical as we think about the idea of play in this front yard. And now we've tried to kind of push that beyond the typical playground, kind of more standard context. So that was an important piece, that we still have that amenity on site for the younger age group. For the site perimeter, it was really important to reestablish the streetscape. So this is the streetscape that currently, due to the power lines, it's pretty void of that typical condition of street trees, of improved pavement. So this plan includes the continuation of the brick pavement that's in front of the church, continues the fence, curb, and peers that are part of that same expression. So again, that idea of complete campus. And then also the change to the perimeter, it goes all the way to the alley in between the church and the rectory. Again, that's important as this complete secure campus for the kids to create that environment that's controlled as part of their day-to-day activity. Layers of planting in front of that fence, low planting, so we still have that visibility from that low fence out to the street. But the street trees that are going back in are 5-inch caliber, large trees that are going to make an immediate impact. I understand certainly the concern with the removal of existing trees, but the intent is to replace more than what's coming away, put them in the right locations that have a long-term impact for the site and for the community. Moving on to the entry. The entry has shifted from being in between the two buildings to focused on the rectory. A couple strategies to that. One, putting more prominence on the historic structure, and so that from the processional arrival onto that historic building we felt was really, really important, as well as with that moving to the north gave us a little bit more flexibility for that uninterrupted play space, so we don't have that sidewalk that's bisecting and in between, and again, thinking of the children's safety there. That brick walkway ultimately transitions into an entry plaza that is of the same material as the entry plaza that's at the church, with some recent improvements. One other element I'm going to key in on is what we're calling the grove, and that's that section 4 trees towards the middle or south middle of the site. And so that's the current entry to the school that, per the previous conversations, was removed. But the architectural feature remnant, paying homage to that, is still evident. We want to do that with the site as well. So there are elements in terms of the site material, replacement of appropriate trees that are safe, again, for child play, material underneath with play mulch, and then some equipment there that is not your traditional play equipment. It is kind of the nature play, logs, steppers, elements that are kind of, again, found and would be part of a tree grove. So all that to provide safe play, but also pay homage to that former entry. Last thing I'll bring out is mentioned a couple things. One, the tree demo plan that has been provided. Many of the trees that are on site there's some crab apples that are coming down that we feel are not appropriate long-term for the site. Maples and beech are in better condition, but again, their location relative to the long-term viability of the site was kind of the key to that, of getting that tree massing moved to the streetscape. And then finally, the synthetic turf we recognize as a non-traditional material for the village. But again, going back to the idea of the flexible long-term use for the school and the community to have a sustainable product there that is going to be very functional and properly selected for appearance that, especially from the street, will emulate what is understood for traditional lawn. With that, I thank you for your time, and we open up for any questions or comments.
The artificial turf, is it like astroturf, or is it more like the individual blades of grass?
I do have a sample of it here with me if you'd like to see that. So a couple things with that, and it's not an astroturf. That product has come a long way since astroturf. You see many installations that are even beyond athletic fields. That's kind of where it evolved originally, where it was blades of grass that emulated actual grass. But it's still, very low, very hard, full of rubber pellets that can be problematic for this kind of condition. This is an actual version of it that is, there's variation to the blades of grass, where there's color variation and size variation.
Like what they have in dog parks.
Yes. And the other key point to this, the backing to it is different than athletic turf. That allows that permeability, so it's not an impervious surface. It allows water to drain through.
Yeah, definitely take our fingers on the absolutely sample.
Something else to keep in mind that the sample itself is laid down, but as it's installed, it gets fluffed up and upright.
Questions?
talk about the fence along the south boundary, and I didn't quite understand what you were talking about.
So I actually didn't mention the south boundary. So the north boundary is a continuation of the wood fence. The south boundary is replacing the existing fence that's there, but it's actually a wood fence that runs alongside residential 6-foot fence.
It's, what kind of fence is it?
It's a wood fence, and excuse me, that starts from the face of the school on the way back to the east is the wood fence. The metal fence continues along the rest of the perimeter.
The
All the way
existing
back.
fence is a chain link fence.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, so it'll be a chain link fence along there?
The existing fence is a chain.
Okay, and what will be?
Wood.
And can you talk about what's going on north of your access entry towards the parish office and the little plaza that you're making? What's going on north of that, between that and the drive?
And then the drive is, there's a planted area. We also are showing an element that's we call it the porch. It's a stage element that as you make that approach and that arrival from Third, it's below, you can't see it. So you're seeing the front, but it serves as just a small platform that can be used for, again, social interaction and play and community events for small impromptu performance.
Do any illustrations with that?
Yeah, if you go to the 3D views, you kind of see it in keep in mind, very conceptual illustration. Towards the end of
Page 13.
Page 13.
14's got a straight look at the rectory, 13's.
Hang on.
So here we see it in the
Okay.
in the foreground.
Okay,
So it also creates that terminus to the longer expanse.
so it's part and parcel of the green space to the south. It's part of that concept. So in what, and I think, so my next question is, what, is there a fence or a wall, not a fence, but is there a fence running down that south side of the alley, and what is it?
On the south side of the alley, yes. Yes, so that is still part of the containment fence, the
Yeah.
fence that's around the perimeter.
Is
It's
that
a rod-
match what's across the
Yes.
front?
Yeah, it's a rod iron.
I've got concerns about that. Because to me, it looks like you now have put up an architectural statement that is of the same hierarchy as what you've got across the front of the property.
Mhm.
And it conceptually, to me, visually divides that and isolates everything south of that fence off to one piece and takes the church off to the other. To me, that fence, I understand the need for the fencing, but I think architecturally, it needs to be secondary and less formal than the one that's in front. I really do. I think it needs to be not as dominant, so the front one says front, this one says I'm secondary and I'm a boundary.
And so that, and I appreciate that comment. Obviously, we talked about that a lot, about that movement in the church and the school and that.
And I get all that, I just think it needs to be secondary to the front.
Would you recommend still a metal fence that just has a little bit of different detail or?
Yeah, much simpler. Maybe get rid of the
appears-
piers and make it just a metal fence
Yeah.
that's black that goes maybe up here at the end.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is much less formal, much less, so the front one's really important,
Right.
this one's secondary.
That makes
It's
perfect
not.
sense.
So, and potentially, so you have right now it's a schoolhouse style fence. If the piers go away, the curb below that stays or goes away. And right now you have those lower kind of interstitial pickets.
Yeah.
Those would probably go away. It just gets a lot simpler.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, we will resubmit that. We have to be mindful of vehicle traffic there. So we talk about the curb, and I think you're mindful of why we need it for
Well,
the.
exactly, and no problem with the curb, I just think architecturally, it needs to say this is less important than what's out in front.
Yeah.
And simplify it down to what still works for you, still is part and parcel of your original motif across the front, but
And I assume we do that on the south and the side as well.
Or south end comes back with a little jog like that. Should that be treated the same way, or do you think that's still part of?
I think that's a boundary edge. I would do the same, I wouldn't. I would keep that the same as the front. One's boundary, one's internal edge.
Yes.
That's all, that was what I was curious about.
Do have one question. Okay. Take that back. I don't have that question. Tree selection, I didn't see specifically on the plan calling out which trees go where.
There's a planting plan, as part of the technical documents, page 18.
Yep, I see it now.
Yeah, the species.
Diversity, comments? Yep. Yes, that speaker slips. All right, so we do have one speaker slip, so we'll call the speaker up. Couple notes on the speaker slips. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Address questions to the commission. There, so Marcus Watson. Pull this one around for you. I gotcha.
Thank you.
I will take this break. I'm Marcus Watson. I'm with German Village
Please
Society.
raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I only have a quick suggestion. We have long supported this project and we have worked in partnership with the church and the school on this project. I would just ask that you please pay special attention to removal of the tree in front, the mature trees in front of the rectory and the mature tree in front of the northwest corner of the school.
Thanks. Great, thanks. You want to speak to any of those comments?
Sure.
Yeah, and appreciate the comments that, again, something that we didn't take lightly and have debated internally of the viability of those trees. And it kind of, again, came down to a couple key points. One, the thinking long-term, say, those are two good trees, not, they're not 100-year-old trees, but they're nice trees. But the flexibility of the site, especially with the turf installation and construction operations to provide that the most amount of flexibility, uninterrupted play space for the children. And then also, I think the opportunity here to again, get the trees in the right location along the streetscape and keep that view to the historic building and kind of frame that even better.
I think our position is, we're trying to think very long-term and provide the materials, the planning materials that will, geez, even after 5 years, you'll begin to see that level of maturity that makes a difference on the exact site. It gives us the openness and also a point, Tim, that you had brought up in terms of the sun, the nature of the sun setting and the shading that's presented into the space. That's another, so there's a number of secondary variables. Talk about construction issues that may potentially damage those trees. We wanted to take that long road, the high road, and the best road, and that's what our plan did. We do appreciate the concern from Marcus and the society. Feel we're trying to do the best for the long term.
Let me ask you this, are they movable?
Sorry,
Are they movable?
I'd probably say not. Just I'm not an arborist.
I don't either.
Those are significant trees. One tree is one tree. I would say the one northwest tree is right up against the school. That probably presents that is presenting us with issues as it is with the structure. And the other in front of the rectory, I dare say, is very close to. There's 2 trees.
Yeah, I know.
I would make the statement that overall, it looks like we have more going in than we have coming out. You're
I
sacrificing.
mean, all of us hate to see a tree come down if it's a perfectly healthy, good tree, but I understand why at times they have to go. And I'm getting the concept here, I understand. With all due respect to the Society of Marcus.
We also know that the trees growing out front are 5-inch caliber, so
Yeah.
those are large installed trees instead of the commitment to kind of get the immediate impact.
Looking at the planting plan along the south side, looks like there's 4 tree canopies shown. Are those existing offsite?
Those are existing offsite, trees offsite.
I'd like to make a motion on the condition that that design of that secondary fence is brought back to the commission. Just for approval.
Go with that.
Item 9, GV 2209-021, 684 South Third Street, I move to approve as submitted, with the exception that the secondary fence along the drive just north of the rectory is brought back for approval. And I would say at that time shows what an elevation of the existing fence and elevation, what happens.
Real quick, Commission, is the condition of, or the approval as well for the, installation of the turn?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to.
yeah, no, good question, yeah.
Okay. That's all.
So I'll second the motion. I'll be unhappy that we approve this the first time a homeowner wants to put artificial turf on their tree line. We'll have difficulty drawing distinctions.
I think this is all within the property.
Yeah, anytime there's turf going to be proposed in the front of a residence, we're going
I
to,
can think of one right now.
I can think of another one.
Okay. I know.
Are you thinking of the same one?
With
Sounds good.
not in session.
In proximity to my
Land
house?
yard.
No, this is something.
One, just keep the,
Sorry.
Just wondering
Slide.
how accessible to the public is that grass when school is not.
It's an interesting question. We visited, I don't know the school that's across, the name of that school in Durham Village across from the park.
Stuart.
Stewart.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
there's an open.
It's interesting, they look like they have the same dilemma as we do, that they provide play opportunities after school, but during school, they don't. We're gonna have to work that process. We certainly are enjoying with the community, but we also have to figure out the security problem. We aren't putting a process in place, and if we want Father Vince to speak to it, but we're not putting a process in place where we're prohibiting onto site during times that are advantageous for public to come across us, as we do today.
I would say that would be a distinction of why artificial turf may be appropriate in your location and not private houses and such.
access.
Traffic. I think in community events that we currently hold that probably private facilities don't.
And it's it's a unique use, it's a unique size, it's like that's a school relative to
I said, but you don't have to come back and argue against that. We do.
Yeah.
right.
Staff can always make note of that as well for
Yeah.
raising.
All right, no further questions on the motion. Take the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, before we jump ahead, let's go back to the ones that we had jumped past. So item 1, 583 South Fifth Street. Applicant here for 583 South Fifth Street. Hearing none, applicant for 358 East Beck Street. 358 East Beck Street. And 911 South Third Street. 911 South Third Street. 877 South Third Street. All right, come on up, sir. This application is going to be for item number 7, GV-22-09-019, 877 South Third Street. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Lynn Henshaw.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Proposed work description, replace existing ribbon slate roof with GAF slate line, antique slate asphalt roof. Roof has had past repairs as stated by applicant and slate assessment has been provided. Staff analysis, staff had initially spoken to applicant at the end of June about the process for original slate removal and what needs to be included in the application when submitting for review. We informed applicant that the removal of original slate would need to go under commission review. The past September business meeting, the commission stated that the leaks appear to be occurring around the chimney, which would indicate that new flashing may need to be installed, but the overall slate appears to be in good condition. They noted that the document provided for the slate assessment does not appear to discuss the condition of the slate, but more of the underlayment. They also asked staff to verify that the slate assessment was done by a different company and if the applicant works for JF Bakers or not. Staff also will need to clarify that the proposed antique slate asphalt shingle is not improved. Need to clarify, not verify, that the proposed antique slate asphalt shingle is not improved color for the GF slate line. The approved colors are either English gray slate or weathered slate. Staff recommends the commission offers feedback and continue the application for further evaluation of the condition of the existing slate. If slate removal is approved, staff recommends that the slate be replaced with either the CertainTeed carriage house dimensional stone gate gray to match the current clip design or GAF slate line dimensional English gray slate or weathered slate from the approved list. Basis for staff recommendation, the proposed work is consistent with City Code 311611 standards for alteration, number 6, number 5, and 11.
Thank you very much. Anything else to add?
English gray slate is the color choice at this point. They have maintained the roof for, I've maintained it with this same customer for probably the last 8 years. And it continues to, I don't know, just deteriorate. It is a very old slate roof. I think it's well over 100 years old. That type of slate is, in my recommendation, I've been doing this for 40 years. It's beyond its life. It gets to a point where a roof is just, I don't know, you wind up putting more money into it than it's worth to do. I understand the considerations about original materials.
Questions, comments from the commission?
My comment was the documentation that was provided describes existing conditions of when the roof was built, the headlap and the lack of underlayment.
Right,
And that's not justification for taking this roof off.
that is not.
No, it's an existing condition. That roof didn't leak for years and years and years under those conditions, so therefore that can't be the cause.
Okay.
So based on that, I can't say that demolition of the slate roof is warranted.
Did we get clarification from staff's comments that the verification is not from somebody who's going to install the roof, or that it is?
I believe it came from JF Baker.
Okay, it came from JF Baker, and that's not who's installing the T-bar. Who would be installing the roof?
Me, lineage.
Okay, and I just wanted to clarify that. So we do have a independent condition assessment.
I'm not saying,
I was just trying,
Yeah.
I didn't realize, which, I didn't hear that clarified. So I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure it was clear.
Yeah.
If the underlayment has disintegrated, of course, we don't know without pulling,
it probably didn't have underlayment when it was
Yeah.
built.
so
They typically did, but there's no telling if it really did or not. But at this point in time, after 100 years, it's probably disintegrated anyway. I mean, I've done many repairs.
Not arguing with you, but
Yeah, I mean, I've seen slate roofs, skip board sheathing, no underlayment, no nothing.
Yeah. yeah. I'm just saying, I think that just the documentation needs to be better.
Right. You're not saying that it doesn't necessarily need replaced, it's just the documentation.
Yeah, we need better documentation to prove it. That's my only point.
What's the standard by that? I mean, I just want to understand.
I talked to HBO.
Pardon?
Talk to
Okay,
HBO.
okay.
I do have one question. So the photos are showing water damage interior. Hard to tell the photos, but it looked like it's a flat roof. Is there an attic space above this?
There
area?
is an attic space. It's in a closet. It's very small. A person could access the attic. There is no flat roof on this though. It's all pitched.
Yeah, so my question is, if the roof is leaking in the attic space, there should be evidence of water coming in, where it's coming in at. If it's a single point of water infiltration, it's getting down to the roof or the ceiling below the joist of the attic, that, I think that's a different conversation than if it's just failing and leaking in multiple places.
Right.
So to back up the need to remove the slate, I think that investigation needs to be done as opposed to, because once water gets in, it can just go horizontally and cause all kinds of problems.
Right, okay.
I think somebody's commenting about the flashing at the chimney based on the pictures.
It looks like a lot of damage, and again, a lot of these pictures that were taken just of the damage, hard to see where they're at in context to everything else. If
Yeah.
it's all centered around the chimney, then it could be problems inside the chimney leaking out through the brick. It could be a number of things.
Understood.
I
As
think
I
we-
said, I've maintained this for about 8 years. We have sealed that chimney with siloxane water seal. We've capped the chimney, reflashed the chimney.
Yeah.
You don't think it's coming through the chimney?
I don't think it's coming.
I would say,
It's not a huge chimney, but.
right.
No.
If there's some documentation of the interior condition of the ceiling,
Mhm.
I think that would identify it's not just a single point and water moving horizontally.
Sure.
That would potentially get me over
That would
the
help.
hump.
That would help.
Okay, okay.
What, in regards to the color selections, and would you be willing to move to one of the approved ones?
He did mention he's going with English gray.
Oh, sorry. I meant
Yes.
that too. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Slow today.
The flashing at the chimney, flashing like embedded in the mortar.
It is, yes. It's new, or
It looks new.
relatively new, yeah.
So are we thinking we try to do this with a condition of, we come back with a better report, or table it, or continue it?
My recommendation is to continue it for better documentation of what the problem is.
I don't think, again, without taking the actual vote, I don't think there's the votes we've heard so far to get an approval. So we could vote for it, turn it down, and you could go for appeal. The other option is we could continue the application, we could do some more investigation, provide some more documentation, potentially a second or third written assessment by a slate roof installer, someone that's familiar with these roof systems. I think that those are the routes. I'd recommend the continuation, but if you want us to take a vote to start the appeal process, we're happy to do that too.
No, that's fine. We'll provide more documentation.
To clarify too, it doesn't necessarily have to be something different to do the assessment, it just has to provide more documentation that this is what needs to happen.
Better justification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if there was other,
Yeah.
that's kind of step one to me. If there were other installers who would give an assessment, a written assessment that they'll put their name to, that's just more ammunition basically on your end to get us to go.
So the slate is actually in okay shape. You could just lift it and relay it once you put it.
Oh, no. It's very old, and as I said, it's ribbon slate. I mean, I can describe ribbon slate to you if you're unfamiliar with it.
Well aware.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, you can sort of lift the very front and it will just
Snap.
loose. It doesn't even snap, it's sort of, just lets.
Let's go.
Okay.
We see a lot of deteriorated 100-year-old slate roofs.
I'm sure of that. Okay.
All right, so you'd like us to continue the application?
Yes, let's do that.
Motion to continue item 7, GD-22-09-019-877 Elm.
Is there a second? Second, any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes.
Thanks very much.
I didn't even know.
That's kind of fun. Is that what you're saying?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and keep moving forward to item 10. I need to recuse myself due to proximity. Take over. Guys, back down to.
Item 10, 363 Jackson Street. Anyone here for number 10? 363 Jackson Street, I think you're back on, Anthony.
Yes.
This is the weirdest.
I have never had.
Thank you. Let's keep things moving.
Short agenda already.
All right, I will move on to the conceptuals.
Actually, Commissioner Harkey, 911 South Fair Street has arrived, just informed, so.
All right.
We're going to stand up to the application table.
All right, item number 5, GV-22-09-017, 911 South 3rd Street. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Steve Graham.
Thank you, sir. Maria?
Loving it now. Proposed work description for 911 South 3rd Street. Rework of existing brick patio and brick edging. New patio and edging are to be laid on aggregate base with existing bricks to be reused with new landscape plantings per submitted plan. Addition of a 4-foot 6-inch tall fence and gate to create a trash enclosure for provided elevation and section. Fence to be painted Sherwin-Williams 6258 triform black. Staff analysis: after initial review of the application, staff had concern about the shortened driveway. If the fence trash enclosure would be installed, it would be a loss of an off-street parking spot for the property. Staff recommends approval with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following conditions. That's approved, that, oh my gosh, that the application is approved without the installation of the fence trash enclosure. Basis for staff recommendation is 311613. Standard for site improvements, letter A, and German Village guideline exterior considerations, walk, sidewalks, driveway, patios, and parking lots. 125, page 125, 126, number 1. Sorry about that.
It's all good. Anything else to add from the applicant?
No.
All right, questions, comments from the commission?
I guess my question is, I understand the fence enclosure to hide the trash and stuff, which I guess you don't have right now and would like to, which is always appreciated. But as they pointed out, how much parking space are you losing by doing that? Are you losing a whole parking spot so that you're down to 1.5 or something, or?
I don't believe so. I mean, if you measure off the plan, looks like, that's gonna take. Over 4.5 feet away.
And how much have you got right now for parking depth wise?
Depth wise, we've got about 30, 32, 33 feet.
Yeah.
Typical space is 9 feet.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
The scale drawing seems to not show that though. That's the challenge with this drawing. It's like it's.
Yeah.
There's something not quite right, at least.
Well, the 2 cars would be like 18 and 1836.
You would have.
Depth, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Width, you're the width.
18-foot tall depth.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was, you're right. You're right.
Thank you.
I'm slowly right. So no, it's not according to the code for parking space. Currently.
It's not number 2 now.
No, it's,
A lot of stuff is 35 feet wide, parking spots wouldn't show you.
we're not losing anything.
Yeah, okay.
That's good.
That was what I was concerned about.
Clarification.
That we would be putting a car on the street
Yeah.
that we can get off, but otherwise we're not, so. Okay, that was my concern.
Can't math.
That is hard. That's
I would be
the,
hung with you, so.
that's the conversation about the parking piece. Anything about the materials proposed?
And that entry gate, the metal one is existing.
It is,
Okay. So really all of this happens inside the gate.
yes.
Fence details are standard when we like, right?
Wood fence details?
Yeah. It's the 2-sided, right?
2-sided, flat top, less than 6 feet tall.
No lights on the columns.
That's nice.
Okay, the gate that's existing is wrought iron, so that's why it doesn't block it. Anybody else have anything?
Motion to approve item 5, GB-22-09-017, 911 South 3rd Street.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Just to add the comment that it is not based upon measurement lengths and parking requirements. It's not a 2-car end-to-end.
Yeah, added a car to the parking problem.
Thank you for clarifying.
Take the vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anybody else here who's not for a conceptual application? Right, move on to conceptuals. Item number 11, GB-22-09-023, 703 South 5th Street. You're both settled. If you please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Your name is?
Dan Leachman, property owner.
Thank you.
Julie Bullock, architect.
Very much.
Proposed work description for the conceptual application. Remove existing garage that was built in 1968. Construct a 25-foot, 3/4-inch, 2-story frame carriage house with porches located on the east and west elevation. Carriage house to have belled wood siding to match rear addition on the main house, which will match profile and exposure as well. Garage doors will be wood and variances will not be required. Will be required, I'm so sorry. Today. Staff announced at the past September business meeting, the commission requested applicants submit elevation photos of the primary structure and to provide existing photos of the alley in lieu of using Google Street View, which applicant has provided. The commission requested that the applicant provide the height of the primary structure, which staff noted that they have requested applicant provide the heights of the properties along the alleyscape as well for the commission to review the average height of that street. The height of the primary property is around 21 feet in height, with the heights for the alleyscape provided in submitted materials. Commission noted that the proposed floor plan appears to have a bathroom and a kitchenette. Staff recommends that the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future GVC meeting. No action is required.
Anything else to add?
Yes, so we're trying to accomplish two things here. We just wanted to see, first of all, if you would be in support of our request for variances for the proposed carriage house. We are, the survey that the owner had differed slightly from the Franklin County Auditor site. So we have ordered a survey, which they're just finishing up now, which is why I haven't assimilated all the variances yet. But I'm anticipating the use variance, a rear yard variance, and possibly a side yard variance. And that would be it. We're proposing this carriage house. My client just recently had a baby and he works from home, and it's essentially going to be office space for him. That's the intention. Anything else to say?
No, just, we have a pretty typical, house in German Village, and, one of the bedrooms, that was my office is now the nursery. So we're again, a little tight for space. It's a very narrow property. So this was our next best option to add space, not only for home office, but also a place for family to come and stay for a period of time.
Questions, comments from the commission?
I would note that we've been seeing a new variance about habitable space above garages that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, that's the use variance.
Yeah, okay, that's a new one. Okay.
We did have, HPO had talked to zoning about that, so there's been some discussion about how they're interpreting now.
I have videos that introduce myself. I've been on your side.
I spoke to Gail Colvin just to confirm what we thought the variances would be. I just need to firm up the numbers once I get the site plan.
In general, what are the variances again?
We're going to need a use variance, not fronting a public street. And we are going to need a possible side yard variance. That depends on what we come up with the site plan. And then a rear yard variance, because the way they do these carriage houses is you measure the space between the two buildings and you basically need 50%, and they give all the rear yard to the front house, so the back house doesn't have any rear yard, so we'll need that variance as well. And this alley does have quite a few, it's one of those alleys in German Village that really almost acts a lot like a street. There's a house right next door, a home right across the street. There's a couple much taller hip brick structures down the alley as well.
So I appreciate that you called it a house,
Yeah,
because it is basically a studio apartment over a two-car garage.
yeah.
And this alley is either houses on split lots, or it's a low-level two-car garage on the back of another property. That's the rule down the alley.
Yeah, it's quite a mixed bag here.
Yeah, but I don't think, to me, this is not appropriate. Absolutely not. It's not a carriage house. It's got porches and balconies. I mean, it's out there. Way beyond anything we've ever approved, except for a 3-story carriage house off of Whittier.
Well, I would point out that 862 Mohawk was approved in November 60, and it's virtually identical and under construction as we speak.
862 Mohawk.
Yeah, it's virtually identical. It's actually a bigger structure. Ours is about 750 square feet. Theirs was about 850. And our property is about 30 feet wide, and I think theirs was about 27 feet wide. So, yeah.
Oh, that's, who's wants this? But that faced the street.
It faced Macon Alley, their carriage house. So seeing that, we thought that this was similar and would be appropriate.
Yeah. Next to those.
Yeah, I had to pull up that application to see what. Do have one question. While we're trying to find that reference property. You said the side yard variance, is that due to the existing building having, okay, so that's not necessarily this
Correct.
structure, because the plan shows it 3 feet off the property line.
They will, most likely, and it's be the north encroachment, I believe. You know, they like to have us legitimize any existing conditions in our variance.
Yes. We just like to understand which variances are being driven by existing conditions versus which ones are being driven by the new build portion.
Anybody done the math to determine if it's within the average height?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Has anybody done the math, have you done the math, determine that it's whether or not it's in the average height? Trying to do, I don't know, 45?
I did not. I mean, I tend to look at it more contextually and just, you know, looking at the streetscape. I don't.
Look at it by the numbers.
And then what do you count?
Yeah.
You count just the ones on that side, or do you count the one across the alley directly?
So what we've done before, correct me if I'm wrong, is that side of the alley
Yep.
from intersection to intersection.
Yep.
Is the way we've done it before.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think it might be there,
I think we're really close.
I think they
would
are,
say.
based
Yeah.
on that.
So you get the average height, is it the mean or the average?
It's the average, right?
The average.
Okay,
That's in the guidelines. You can find it. The construction section.
and that's to the ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're really close.
It looks like they are, just trying
I'll
to
double
clean
check.
that up.
And is it street to street or just intersection to intersection?
So basically what you've shown, if there's an intersection at the end, I believe what you've shown.
So Alexander Alley, and then I don't know if there's any, I think there's one more past that,
Oh,
those two.
So, yeah, there's more before you get to the next intersection.
I think there's.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's how we would apply that.
So, I mean, if we did meet that requirement, would that make you feel more comfortable about it, or no? Okay.
Oh, I'm just,
No,
I'm
I'm
just trying to
sorry,
get
no.
out there.
I mean,
I didn't
I'm
ask.
looking at the one I'm thinking it's,
Okay.
I mean, those are all tall structures on that side of Mohawk. Yeah. it's
And this
connected
carriage
to
house
Melissa's
is taller
house.
than the actual main house?
Yes, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it is just oversized. And granted, we have approved at least 2 or 3 of these that I've not voted for, and I'm just stating my position on it. That it is, I'll be blunt, destroying the village by being outsized secondary ancillary structures that don't, and please don't call it a carriage house, because this house never had a carriage house. So that's just where I'm at. We got 6 other people to convince that it's okay.
And I'm in the same position. I'm not happy with the proliferation of these large secondary structures at the rear of lots of houses that would have never had this size of a secondary structure associated with them.
That's not to say that you can't get a 2-car garage with an office space over the top of it that's at that scale. But this has got a porch on one side and a balcony on the other, and
Well,
it's
you know,
way out
we
there.
could take a look at the porches. Yeah, we're just taking a look at something that, again, it got
And you're,
approved 6-0, so no one objected to it. It's on the same alley, it's 4 blocks down, it's a bigger structure. So I think what we're proposing is very in line with what's been approved as recently as November.
Thank you. Sorry, that's a good time to interject, but 862 is on the screen presently. What was approved just
Yeah.
for reference.
So the 862, I'll call it the Hugo Special, because it's done good special. This is the third one of this type of style. Conversation we've had in the past about this. One, it's a garage at a certain height that what looks like a ledge. It's solid to give that street facing front as opposed to having railings to look like a porch. The depth of that portion behind that wall is very minimal. It's not meant to necessarily be a seating space out there. It was done in an architectural manner to break up that frontage elevation. And there's 3 examples of that, including the 862. On 862, another conversation point was the height of the primary structure and the garage behind it. The garage should be subservient both in style and massing and height to the principal structure.
Okay.
And the third piece is the height of the secondary structure in relation to the streetscape heights. So those are the 3 components that typically go into the conversation. So if this is taller than the principal structure, that's a hard pill to swallow first.
Well, we can certainly bring that down. That's not a difficult thing.
Understood. Now, I think looking at the existing design, having like that garage kind of low and then sloping back to a larger structure, my guess is that was probably intent at first, or that portion was added on to give that extra depth for the garage to allow space to the second for the storage space. That's my guess, but that's just conjecture.
Do you have such a strong objection to a balcony on the house side, on the yard side?
We've seen.
I know.
You're okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
It's on the inside.
okay.
It's really the frontage, the alley street frontage that's the most concerning.
Yeah, I think we could do something similar where it's
And bring that
not
down.
raising, it's minimal in width. Something like that.
Can I also add, because it was brought up in the minutes about the kitchen versus no kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's okay with no kitchen. It's not really.
It's a bathroom, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Get it.
It's good to get up from work, go into the main house, give you a little break.
Okay.
Yeah, and just kind of to help, because I appreciate the applicant's point of view and trying to understand, I've seen this stuff. So we consider each application based on the conditions of that site. So you do a good job of kind of laying out with the other application, the things that laid into that. So one of the things in particular was that principal structure was called. It's helped that application.
Okay.
And one of a recent contentious application that came through, that was a lot of hand wringing trying to get there, which is the one down by Whittier.
Yeah.
It was about different ways of measuring height of structure. And the different sections of code, I think it's the code that represent the two different sections measure it in two different ways. So there's some numerical prescriptive information that's in the code to consider. Then there's the guidelines, which is less prescriptive that we have to follow.
Yeah, because the code says to the midpoint.
So there's all the parts and pieces to consider when putting together the application.
I want to point out, if this was just purely up to us, which obviously it isn't, we would have done something similar to what they want to do in Whittier. Have a square structure with the roof there to put patio furniture and then free up our backyard for a yard for a little child. We watched those 6 months and we said, you know what? The commission, they don't like that. We're not going to propose something like that. Okay. And so we took that into account, but at the same time, we're like, you know what? We'd like a little bit of outdoor space on that structure. Just me personally, but my favorite time of day is dusk. And I love watching the sunset and would love to be able to look out to the west and watch that happen. So we know we can't get a rooftop deck. We're not going to try and propose that, but we would like something that does look at it.
So that being said, you do realize that the height of this structure is going to put your backyard in more shade earlier?
Yeah.
Just bringing it up.
Yeah, and the primary bedroom also will get less sun at the end of the day, but our energy bill will go down, so, puts and takes.
Yep, get it.
Have you done a calculation on total lot coverage?
Yeah, I'm at like 47%, I think. That's right here. 48%. Now, that's based on what we think the area of the lot is. That's why I wanted to double check that with, and then this will be BCA variance. So,
And I'm sure you didn't mean to say it this way, but just for clarity, it's not about what the commission likes or doesn't like. We're here interpreting the guidelines, trying to make sure things meet the guidelines. There's lots of things that meet the guidelines that I don't personally like, but they meet the guidelines.
No, just, we're trying to take the neighborhood into account. To the north is a house with a family. In the pictures, they have 3 windows. I think it looks into bedrooms, bathrooms. And so understanding that, we said, you know what, let's not have any windows facing to the north. There's one tiny one that actually, now that we think about it, I think it's a bit redundant. That can probably be removed. The windows to the south, they look over a garage and down the alley, not into anyone's property. So we really try to take the neighbors into account as much as possible.
Good.
Well, and there are lots of structures in German village houses that have virtually no windows on the north side. Just have little tiny ones that maybe to create some airflow.
would skylights on the roof be acceptable on this accessory structure? So I guess, does anyone have any objections?
Yeah, I mean, you typically like the low profile, deluxe.
If you flip the roof, wouldn't do it on this depth of structure, but I might have some heartache on skylights showing up if it was the broad side of the roof facing the alley, but you're twisted, so.
You're gable the other ways.
Yeah, there's the woods, there's our pictures.
Make it up for all the snuffles.
I think we got a lot of great feedback and we have a direction, so. Does anyone else has comments for us?
Thank you. Thank you. Very much.
All right, thank you.
Right, moving ahead to item 12, GB-22-09-024, 658 South Durant. If you please raise your right hand. Both right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Jeremy Little.
Thank you.
Eric Maxwell.
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing a new gable dormers on the north and south elevations. New dormers to have staggered asymmetrical layout on opposite elevations. Dormers will be held back from the street facade. Dormer materials to include asphalt shingles, wood lap siding, approved windows, existing house footprint will remain unchanged, and no variances will be required. The following is taken from the approved July 6, 2022 German Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Durst stated concern with the second floor as it appears that the applicant needs that long dormer, not with bedroom ceiling heights, but with a hallway ceiling height. Traditionally, hallway would be down the center. Commissioner Murphy stated that an issue that may come up will be egress issues. Stated that the dormer at the front door will be removed to install the new longer dormer, that the longer dormer does not respect the second floor at all. Commissioner Murphy asked if it was a requirement to have a landing at the top of the stairs before you have a door. Applicants stand depending on the swing of the door. Commissioner states instead of having a bedroom in the middle of the second floor, they would recommend putting the office there as a common area instead, in order to remove the hallway, then to add small dormers for egress at the bedroom ends. Commissioner Murphy stated that the 2008 amendment on additions and guidelines before considering an addition, explore options such as rearranging interior space by using basements or relocating to a larger house. With today's economy is not necessarily the best solution, which would possibly take the applicant the hardship route. Hardship route is not something that the commission hears on first round. It requires a hearing, a rejection, and done upon appeal. Commissioner Thiel states that he does not think that not having enough space is a hardship route. Commission asked if something can be done on the interior arrangement to break up the massing of the long dormers. Commissioners would not approve the design as if applicant went for an action application. Commissioners asked if the owner had thought about building an addition off the rear of the structure. Applicant is advising to go up because an addition would be cost prohibitive. Commissioners say that if the owner does look into expanding the total footprint of the property, there has been precedence in the past to sacrifice the lot coverage limit requirements in order to save the integrity of the cottage and to minimize hatting of cottages. Staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future GVC meeting. No action is required.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we both were not able to be at the last commission meeting. We had to have one of our other colleagues stand in for us. At that meeting, we were hoping to gain some insight into the dormer placement, size and style. And, we understand, although prevalent in German Village, shed dormers are not necessarily aesthetically pleasing for this style of home. Now, there are plenty of examples in walking around German Village of shed dormers on homes of this style. So the new design is in an effort to break those shed dormers up, creating more of a dormer style, but still trying to get the height we need on the inside to bring this second story into code, habitable space, egress windows, things that the building department require for a second floor living space. We revised the rendering, Jeremy did, and I think you have that in the pictures there. I brought some copies if you wanted to see it, but the goal was to keep the dormers back as far from the front of the house, per the German Village guidelines, break those shed dormers up with gables, and so from the street, we would like to see, the prevalence of the gables, not a shed dormer.
Yeah, I think in its entirety, what we were really after responding to your comments from the last meeting was to give that appearance of the smaller individual gable end dormers, which we would more likely see in a cottage of this style. But all the while trying to provide that interior space, we do need some kind of connector piece between it, but trying to minimize that as best we could to provide for the needs up there. We have explored with the homeowner alternatives of rearranging some interior space. It's a fairly small home to begin with. The basement is just clearly not an option. It's completely uninhabitable without extreme excavation work to happen there. We've entertained to a degree addition off the back. There again, we get into some pretty big cost implications, excavation, hallway, site access to their very tight lot. It could happen, but it's pray the boards make that happen. So,
Questions, comments from the commission?
There is an existing dormer,
There is. It's much larger than what we're proposing, but yes, there is a dormer.
so you're basically rebuilding.
Correct, yes.
You know how old that dormer is?
I mean, I'm sure it's not original to the house when the house was built, per the Sanborn maps and some of the history that I've read up on the second stories.
More than 50 years? Is that where you're going, Tristan?
Yeah.
Not sure. Okay.
I can verify that in the file.
50 years instead of contributing, because over 50 years is considered contributing.
We can certainly leave that. I mean,
That's-
sacrifice bumps us, doesn't hurt us. So I mean,
That's
it's,
where I was gonna
it's certain.
jump off of, it gives you more footprint area just automatically by having it there versus taking it
Correct,
out.
yeah, correct, absolutely.
And I would say you wouldn't want to match it. We don't want matchy-matchy.
Right.
I'll say that the guidelines don't recommend matching. Let each piece speak to its historic time and place. So the addition onto it, especially being up on the roof, it's up for the commission to discuss, but.
How do you feel about the shed dormer piece? We went round and round. We weren't here last month because we were trying to really reduce the size of this mass. I mean, we understand it's a mass, we understand, and we came up with, as Jeremy pointed out, letting the gables be the prevalent piece, pushing the shed dormers back, as far as we possibly could. And they still might be able to go back further. We're still kind of working through it, but and then, that gave us that space we felt we needed for the family, the children, that are going to be living on that, sleeping and living on that second floor.
Can't speak for everybody. I would say that this approach, as opposed to just a block shed, is more, it's a better design, in my opinion. And the small cottages are always a struggle. How do we maintain, how do we not destroy the integrity of them? To me, this is an in-between of putting a big giant shed, allowing the property to provide more viable future, long-term. The two different size, I'll say linear lengths on each side. So it's not just a mirror on both. Right. I think it's doing a lot for the application, in my opinion.
We're over time losing so many of these small cottages without dormers.
Yeah.
And I think the guidelines address that, and one of the reasons the guidelines exist was because of the proliferation of shed dormers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
adding them over a period of time incrementally destroys the architectural character of the neighborhood.
Right.
Each one doesn't do it, but over a period of time, you've got different architecture in the neighborhood. Right. So it's.
Jeff, if the shed dormers have been around for over 50 years, they're now part of the vernacular of the village.
So your argument is we should let one on every cottage. That's the natural.
I'm playing devil's advocate
of your, so it proves too much.
Yeah.
So that existing dormer right now is what lets you walk into that middle bed.
It does, yeah. And in the bedroom ceilings, I wish I would have we did a little diagram trying to determine, what height we really have from 5 feet to 7 feet, which is considered the habitable space, of a
It's
floor.
at 6'6" at the top.
Right, so we already have to, there's collar ties, so we're gonna have to raise those collar ties up and make sure that our shed dormers, can get to that height. So Again, we're really still trying to work through the details, but it's a challenge, albeit it's a challenge to get the heights we need, the space we need.
Yeah, exactly. I think I could live with it more as like if you kept that existing dormer that gets you access to that middle space, if that middle space was the office that everyone could walk through, to then allow the dormers at the rear to make that second bedroom viable.
And then, so the reason we haven't or didn't do that is the current room to the front of the second floor. We didn't feel like you would want the dormers that close to the front of the property. I mean, we need to get 2 bedrooms in this second floor, so we could certainly do a bedroom to the back and a bedroom to the front, but that would move the dormers pretty much up to the front of the house, and we're really trying not to do that. Where the stairs are at.
The east side?
I'm sorry.
Is the front of the house the east side?
Front of the house is the west.
The west side. So those dormers would have to come into that room that currently have no egress windows that we're calling office in our design.
Yeah, looking at your as-built second floor plan
As built, second floor.
on page 6.
Huh?
It's saying that the new dormers would be to the right. I guess would be that would be the rear of the building.
Correct. Yes, we're trying to keep them back as far as possible, hence why we needed that, the hallway to get back there.
I'm saying if the bedroom in the middle became the office,
Where's the second bedroom gonna go?
well, the bedroom is towards the front, 1 bedroom at the front, and then 1 bedroom at the rear.
Right. So you would be for putting dormers at the front of the house to get egress into that bedroom that currently has no windows in it other than the
It's
2.
currently a bedroom, right?
It's currently a bedroom.
Currently,
Non-conforming, yeah.
non-compliant.
Non-compliant.
Well, if you leave it that way, I think code has to allow you to use it.
If we call out a bedroom, we have to provide egress windows.
we'll give
It's
it a
not a bedroom now.
I'm sorry.
It's not a bedroom now.
Technically, it's not a
Yeah,
bedroom.
it's not technically considered a bedroom.
So it may be used as a bedroom, but not.
We can't,
Well,
we can't,
been
we
used
can't,
as a bedroom
as
for
design
years, right?
professionals, licensed architects, we cannot call out a bedroom without an egress window.
Well, I had a conversation years ago with the head code person, because I knew him. He said if it's a bedroom in a German village cottage and it doesn't have an egress window, you're not doing anything, it's okay.
It's not a change of use.
It's not a change of use of that space.
I think the state of Ohio would say otherwise.
That is the same authority.
Yeah. I wouldn't put my professional reputation.
You need to ask.
There is actually a condition in the code, interestingly.
At minimum, we need to get light and ventilation in there by code, so we definitely would have to put windows up there in some fashion.
Aren't there already 2 windows in the front?
There,
There are 2 windows in the front, they're pretty small. I think yeah, they're good.
And there's lots and lots of cottages in the village with exactly that window configuration and a bedroom in the front that doesn't require any other changes.
Yeah.
We'll say that the county auditor's website calls it 2-bedroom, 1 bath, so they're
There you go.
accepting it as is per, the county.
I've been down that road before on a commercial project, not a residential project, where once it's been used long enough, considered the use.
It's grandfathered in.
And if you're not doing a change of use, it can stay there. So I'm not saying you have to do that or not, but I think that there are building code interpretations that can allow for it.
so how would your official recommendation, again, I hate to get an approval somewhere down the future, we go for permit and get denied. How does your approval of that, can we have that written somehow in the approval if we get there to say that?
What I recommend to do, when I've been in that situation, is I have that conversation with the code official now. Conceptually, you could have an adjudication order, you can have a preliminary review, you can get all that recorded by the building department. And if they get it right, good.
Yeah.
That's how I've done it.
Get preliminary review, start the permit process.
That's good feedback. Yeah.
Again, I'm not sure where I stand on it, so I'm just trying to provide context. There are processes in place.
And that whole concept of the grandfather in goes to foundation requirements and everything else. If we're not touching it, it is what it is.
That's right.
Once we start pulling it apart and trying to alter things, then you start putting that trigger of, oh, we need to start looking at, bring everything up
You
to.
don't want to spend money that you don't have to.
What could happen at the building department, they could say, now that you're altering the exterior, you're altering the egress path, and that would make you have to bring that bedroom fully.
I don't think so.
I don't think we'd alter the stair.
You're not altering the
They
stair.
don't bring the collar.
We'd have to-
move that up.
Well, I mean,
If
we don't have to get the height that's required by code, then we'll just leave it at that lower height.
Yeah,
Once we get when we meet with the building officials, I assume we can bring some sort of documentation, emails or something, at our discussion with them, as
It'll be on the record too, yeah, we'll have all that.
Provide to HBO, we'll put it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll
okay.
be included in your material packets for.
Perfect. Okay.
It's a little funny, because when you read the drawings, the new dormer is actually the same space as the old dormer, so you're not modifying the egress path at all.
Right.
The front ring is
Correct.
not changing.
Correct, yes, you're correct.
We'll build a new dormer wall for the new dormer, but
So by moving that middle bedroom to the end, at least the bedroom can have windows. It's not shared with because right now that bedroom doesn't have a door. So I guess the bedrooms, the landing is part of that middle bedroom, so it has a window and egress.
Correct. But you go through a bedroom as they have it currently to get to the bathroom. Correct. The children sleep
In the hall.
in the hallways. Yes, correct.
Oh, quite literally.
Yeah. Stepping over beds and boys to get to the restroom. Correct.
stepping on
Like kids in German village have done for 100
It's his parents all slept in the same room.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I support leaving the existing dormer there, using that as a starting point of what to do upstairs.
Okay.
Trista, what you're advocating then is that middle piece that's called the bedroom, now that becomes the office. So then the new dormers are only really
In the rear.
in the rear.
Yeah, for the.
Which really pushes them back, and maybe Nathan Gable dormers to match the other dormers there. Or similar style.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think
But
Andrew
they-
said
but they
that
won't
the
have
code,
that
the guidelines say no matching, I think, is that what you said?
But it could be narrower or whatever, but then we don't have that hallway connecting the two.
We've only had one instance that I know of where we have made a second gable where it made sense to match the first gable dormer with a small shed between setback the way that you have it shown.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's only one instance where I remember in my,
Jaeger.
so many years ago. But that was, in this case, I think having that larger existing dormer front, smaller dormer width-wise in the rear. If there was a need to put a small shed to connect them to get a little extra height, I personally would be okay with it. I'm not sure with the rest of the commissioners. Because that bigger dormer would help cut off the visual of seeing that, I think, from the street.
The rendering shows that pretty well, even if it was the original dormer, which is wider, it really cut off quite a bit.
That rendering is a good touch.
Yeah, I think the north side, we'd certainly be able to eliminate one of those dormers. I still think we probably would need two dormers in the back, potentially to get the bathroom reworked in another bedroom, but we'll work on that.
One on either side.
Yeah, I think so, to get enough space for a bedroom and a bathroom back there. However, we may keep the bathroom kind of in its current location. I'm not really sure now, but it's given us some ideas to think through, so.
Appreciate that. But like Trista said, that gets them all towards the back, which is nice.
Yeah.
The function follow the form a little bit more than the form follow the function.
Great. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments.
Ma'am, which application are you here for?
Jackson?
Jackson? All right. That is item number 10. I need to recuse myself. You all can take it over then.
And we're just gonna keep going.
Run. I'm right across the street, so.
It's item number 10, GV 090222363 Jackson Street. Make sure I get this right. Raise your right hand and swear tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And please state your name.
Heidi Bolyard, Simplified Living Architecture.
Thank you.
Okay.
Morgan?
Right. Proposed work description, new construction of a sunroom on the rear of property, removal of existing 7-foot 11-inch by 11-foot 11-inch screen porch built 1992, COA number 92310, and to be replaced with a 13-foot 6-inch by 14-foot sunroom. Materials for new sunroom to be split face block at the foundation, reveal to match existing. LP Smart Side smooth lap siding with a 4-inch reveal to be painted to match the siding. LP Smart Side trim smooth certainteed asphalt shingles and nickel gray from approved shingles list. Installed new painted K-style lineal gutter to match existing. Hard pine wood flooring and steps. New Sunspace porch windows, vertical 4-track windows, and new Sunspace porch door. Work to include the removal of existing 1992 2-story rear addition siding and replace with the new LP Smart Side smooth lap siding with a 4-inch reveal to match the proposed sunroom. 4 windows on the existing addition will be replaced with Pella Architecture Series Reserve aluminum clad wood interior windows from the approved windows list. Staff analysis. The existing framed addition and screen porch was approved in 1992, stated before. At the past September business meeting, Commission did not have additional requests at that time. They did not appear to have an issue with the proposed sunroom since the screen porch is of a newer construction and is similar in design and massing. Staff had reached out to applicant to request additional information about the radon system that appears in the submitted materials. Staff had looked into the files and did not see a COA for the radon system installation. We also asked about the AC unit that appears to be located where the new steps are being proposed. Applicant stated that the AC unit has been relocated in order to install the steps in a new proposed design, and both items did not receive approval. Staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following condition. The applicant to submit a COA application for the installation of the radon system, as well as the relocation of the AC, and to paint the system the proposed color of the siding, with the addition of the exterior paint color chips to be submitted to Historic Preservation Office staff for final review and approval prior to application. Basis of staff recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration, number 9 and 11. And 311612, standards for new construction, letter A, E, H, K, and C.
Anything to clarify, add?
Just to clarify, with the system, the
Radon?
radon, sorry. That was installed prior to them moving in, so, yeah.
And to be honest with you, Morgan, I don't think we can make that a condition for this.
Okay. That's,
It just, it needs, you know what somebody
Yeah.
needs to do?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. At least I guess to be painted would be.
Well, yeah, and I think that if it was painted to match the house, at least,
Yeah, that
then it just kind of.
They,
blends in.
they need to make an application for it,
Okay.
even now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or somebody will come
Just-
looking for them to get them to make an application. Which would be-
Technically, what Ned's saying, I'm just gonna say out loud, we can't do anything about it until somebody makes a complaint.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that doesn't mean one of us up here won't do that. Or somebody sitting in the audience.
So it doesn't get on their radar.
Is that normally something that staff approved, or is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be staff approved plans.
Where were the air conditioners? Just out of curiosity, where were the air conditioners moved to? I don't understand where you put them.
The condenser, they were
Yeah.
moved to the side,
Okay.
to the side here.
Whereas, would we typically require screening for that
Yes,
side?
so that's why the AC additionally was added to, if they could be included in the COA for us to.
And they have already been removed.
but they already been removed.
Correct. They were planning ahead, so they moved it, and we were like, you can't move that.
It's got theories.
So that's an interesting one. Is that your head, Ned, fell all in the same place as the radon? Or is that something we can make a condition of this? Because they were.
Because it requires screening.
And they were moved for this.
Yeah.
Well, and there's already fencing on both sides of the side yard
Okay.
property, so there are.
So they are screened.
Screened,
Okay.
yeah.
That would be.
And maybe we could just have that as a condition that we follow up through staff. Okay. I'm curious how that will all gonna fall, but I don't have any other issues myself.
No, yeah, my comment to this meeting, the new design is more conservative than what's there, so.
Yeah, the roof pitch is much better.
And the siding that's being replaced is because of the roof pitch, I assume, and it's the whole back of the wall, you just, same thing.
Yeah, we're,
So you take that roof down, that's wall side.
yeah, just tying it in where it needs to be replaced.
Okay, so it's just a patch job, not a complete replacement. Okay.
Mr. Burrell, anything?
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, let me find a number here. I move to approve item 10 GB-09-022-363. The condition that,
022.
what, did I skip something?
You would say the dash.
363, it's 316.
I got it. I move to approve item 10 GB-09-022-363 Jackson Street. With the condition that, information be submitted to staff for review to confirm that the air conditioners are in fact screened.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
What were these homes?
Records show that I'm back. All right, we have a couple to continue, due to applicants not being here. Item number 1, GB-22-09-014.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Item number 4, GB-22-09-016, 358 East Beck Street.
I move to continue.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. There we go. Pull back my vote on that. I need to recuse myself from the application. Just realized which one it was. Item 4.
You just move it to continue, you're not taking action.
Oh, okay.
Should be above board. It's all.
You're good, I think. I think Jeff's probably okay with that.
I think that is it.
I think we're having all covered.
Any old business?
Old business identification, none there. No old business.
Just only had a thought, the church project, did we vote on that?
Yes, we
The
did.
6847.
Yeah, with the doctor.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I was working on a project with them.
Oh,
Like the draft has been submitted, we're just waiting for that approval, but technically my contract's not finished yet, so I've been wondering now whether, so it's been months, so I feel like I haven't been doing anything for them, but.
I think if you're not technically signed contract,
Yeah.
it's not technically.
I mean, we have a signed contract, and it's not done yet. Because it's been months since I submitted the report to HPO, just waiting for comments
For
for a house report.
for the rectory.
Yeah, for the rectory. It's like, yeah, we're not actively doing anything right now, just waiting for comments.
But you're under contract,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're under contract.
It was unanimous approval, so
Yeah,
if we need to pull hers back, we can, or
Still
make a
okay.
note moving forward.
Yeah, it still would be within the forms.
Yeah, it doesn't have any material effect on the outcome.
No. To be noted that way, though.
Yeah, you're definitely noted though.
Mhm.
All right, if there's no old business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Okay, so move.
Is there a second?
You can't say nay, it's according to the.
No.
Has to approve. Motion to.
Vote against the motion to adjourn. Can't debate it.
I thought you were saying get.
We're not leaving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right with you.
Thank you.
So you have any sort of.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I don't think
4 cranes on site at the same time. It's a short agenda. People don't.
Oh, yeah?
6-foot tall, blue lamping.
Okay.
There's a.
But yeah. On top of my garage though. Why not? Yeah, plenty of generator in there.